Parshas Chukat. Parshas Chukat is an interesting combination, almost ironic, in the fact that on the one hand we find Moshe Rabbeinu, in terms of his understanding of Torah, of what his understanding of Torah really represents, the idea of para aduma, the ultimate chok, not understandable or not giving over to the understanding of mortal man, and yet we find that Moshe Rabbeinu touches upon it. On the other hand, this is also the parsha of Mei Meriva. The cause, the direct cause of Moshe Rabbeinu is not entering into Eretz Yisrael. It's not within our scope, certainly at the moment, to discuss all the different possibilities that the Rishonim suggest as to why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't enter Eretz Yisrael, and what exactly is the nature of the sin of Mei Meriva. The Ohr HaChaim, for instance, quotes 10 different opinions, all of which he disagrees with. But perhaps we could focus on one nekuda, on one point, and that is that which Rashi says, and the gloss that the Gur Aryeh has concerning that which Rashi tells us here. On the one hand, Rashi tells us in our parsha that the source of the chait was the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu hit the rock as opposed to speaking to it. Hit the rock twice as opposed to speaking to it. This is problematic, not in so far as the other Rishonim might claim that what exactly is wrong with hitting the rock, but says the Gur Aryeh that actually there's a contradiction in Rashi himself. In Parshas Ba'aloscha, Rashi says that the reason or the source of the sin was in Moshe Rabbeinu saying Shimu Nahamorim, relating in anger to Bnei Yisrael for the request or for the inappropriateness of the requests, for the demands. Where exactly lies the Avera? Is it in the perfunctory act of striking the rock as opposed to speaking to the rock as he was directed? Or is the issue of his showing his anger to Bnei Yisrael, as some Rishonim in fact claim, is that the major cause of his not entering into Eretz Yisrael? Says the Gur Aryeh, there's no contradiction, because the fact remains is that as the pasuk says, Yan asher lo hemantem bi lahakdisheni le'inei b'nei Yisrael, that is the issue. The issue is a lack of emunah. Ilmole mikra kosov, if not for the fact that it were written explicitly in the Torah, we wouldn't have the chutzpah to be able to talk about Moshe Rabbeinu's emunah. But the Maharal tells us that exactly is the issue over here. Moshe Rabbeinu's foible, if we can even use such a word, was in emunah. Says the Maharal, a person who has emunah shlema, certainly Moshe Rabbeinu did, and we're only talking about a lapse of a second, which cost him very dearly and cost Klal Yisrael even more dearly perhaps. But the lack of emunah, or I should rather say a person who is constantly in a full state of emunah, he's always besimcha. The possibility for Moshe Rabbeinu to engage, as the Maharal says, in a mitzvah, in a state of kas, is a contradiction to the concept of emunah. So what we really have, as the Maharal describes for us, is a two-pronged result of Moshe Rabbeinu's small slip in emunah. On the one hand, his midah at that moment was of kas, of anger. On the other hand, in the world of action, he didn't fulfill what Hashem told him to do, and rather he did it in an annoyed fashion, hitting the rock twice. Both of those are the two results, says the Maharal, of the lack of emunah. His lashon is da ki hachet shel Moshe v'Aaron ki yachsiv bakra yan asher lo hemantem bi lahakdisheni v'davar zeh ma shehiku pamayim el hasela kasher nas el hem neis ki zeu yetzia min emunah ki asu maaseh zeh derech kas umi she'osa mitzvahs Hashem derech kas befrat kasher nas el hem neis kazeh כמו שעשו הם, שאמרו שימו נהמורים, The reflections or the reverberations of this lack of emunah played themselves out in two realms, in the realm of Maaseh and the realm of Midah. Moshe Rabbeinu, unfortunately, didn't enter into Eretz Yisrael. As I said, it was a loss for Klal Yisrael. It was a personal loss for Moshe Rabbeinu as much as it was a loss for Klal Yisrael. The fact remains is because Moshe Rabbeinu, as his name states, was meant to be the teacher of Klal Yisrael in every single instance. And the opportunity over here to show the connection and the interplay, how emunah leads to mitzvah b'simcha, to the midah of simcha, to the pe'ula b'simcha, to the pe'ula b'shleimus, to the action in its complete fulfillment, it was his tafkid. But even as, for all intents and purposes, for Moshe Rabbeinu over here, it was not a success, nonetheless, Moshe Rabbeinu remains our teacher. He reminds us, through the way the Torah censured him, for Yanj Elohim bi, we too also learn to take a certain degree of gravity, to understand the gravity of our actions. Ratza Kodesh Baruch Hu lezakos es Yisrael leficha chir behem toru mitzvos shene'emar Hashem chafetz zaman tzidko yagil Torah v'yadir. Each mitzvah is an expression of Hashem's love. A person who is in the state of emunah realizes that whatever is happening around him, his performance of the mitzvah is an act of love. There's no room for kas. There's no room for frustration. That's Moshe Rabbeinu's lima to us. Even in his censure, he always remains our teacher, Moshe Rabbeinu.